we started a new story. And so Stella and Barry, I know you guys weren't able to be here last week. So we're going to do a little review. And we want to make sure you know the meanings of some of these words. That way you understand the rest of the story today. So since we have Esther and Esther was here, Esther, last week we talked about what it means to be bilingual. So do you remember what does it mean to be bilingual?
You can speak two languages.
Very good. So Stella, what does it mean to be bilingual?
You can speak two languages.
Very good. And Barry, can you repeat that as well? What does it mean to be bilingual?
You can speak two languages.
Very good. And hi, Dylan.
Hi.
We're glad you could join us. So very good. Bilingual, it means you can speak two languages. So in our story from last week, we learned that there's something that some schools do to help their students to become bilingual. So Dylan, what do some schools do to help students become bilingual? Do you remember what they do?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Let's see if Esther remembers. Esther, do you remember what some schools do? What do some?
They put the common signs and put the bilingual and Chinese and no they put English and Chinese in the common size.
Very good, very good. So the signs, so we know signs are, we might have signs on the street, like a stop sign or a people walking sign. And in school, they have different signs that show both English and Chinese. So if we remember some of the signs that show where the bathroom was, where the exits are, where they can leave the school, those were both in Chinese and in English. And so students would see the English and Chinese, and that can help them to learn English. So very good. And you had something to do for your homework, and welcome Ryan too. Hi Ryan.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. So we were just about to go over the homework from last week. So for your homework, you had to pretend you were the teacher. So if you were a teacher, what would you do to help students become bilingual? What would you do to help students become bilingual? So Dylan, why don't we start with you? How would you answer that question?
Teach them English or another language.
You would teach the students another language?
Yes.
Very good. So you could be a language teacher. You can spend your time helping your students learn another language. Very good. What about you, Esther? If you were a teacher, what would you do to help students become bilingual?
If I were a teacher, I would let the student to practice the conversation of bilinguals.
That's very good. Practicing conversation skills. That's very important when learning a new language. And what about you, Sarah? if you were a teacher, what would you do to help students become bilingual? We still can't hear you, Sarah. Sarah, can you type your answer in the chat? Can you type your answer in the chat?
你用打字的，因为今天我们都听不到你的声音。
Thank you. Sorry, hopefully we'll be able to hear you later. And Ryan, what about you? If you were a teacher, what would you do to help your students become bilingual?
I will tell them to read many Chinese and English book.
That's a good one. So reading in the language you're trying to learn, that could be very useful. So Barry and Stella, you weren't here last week, but now that you know what bilingual means, being able to speak two languages. So the question is, if you were a teacher, what would you do to help your students become bilingual? So you heard a few ideas, and I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. But once you know your answer, Barry, why don't you tell us what you would do to help your students?
I think I just put put another language in I think I just put another English languages word in the things they are, and when everyone see it, they see again and again, and they remember.
Very good. That's a very good answer. And that's sort of similar to what the teachers do in this story, putting the English and Chinese signs around the school. So very good. And what about you, Stella? If you were a teacher, what would you do to help your students become bilingual?
Maybe I will let them to listen to the English song.
I like that. That's a very good idea. So when I was in school, my Spanish teacher had us listen to a lot of songs in Spanish, and we watched a lot of movies in that language too. And so that helped in learning the language. So that's a very good idea, Stella. Okay, and Sarah, once we see your answer, I'll make sure to come back and ask you. And those were all very good suggestions, and I'll keep all of those in mind too as we continue with our English class. So what we're going to do now is get into some new vocabulary. I'm going to share my screen. We have some very interesting words today. Some very interesting new vocabulary words. So, as usual, just a reminder for our newer students, I'm going to read the vocabulary word and then you will repeat after me. And then we will do the same with our example sentences. So our first word is particular.
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 Very good. And let's do that one more time. Particular.
Particular.
Awesome. Great job. So we use the word particular to describe talking about one thing or person and not others. So let's look at our examples. Let's make sure we understand that. That definition might be a little confusing. So let's look at our examples. Is there a particular restaurant you would like to go to? I asked.
There
Is there a
restaurant
particular restaurant you
you
would
would
like
like
to
to
go
go
to?
to?
I asked.
That particular teacher has worked at the school for many years.
That
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 particular
particular
teacher
teacher
has
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 worked
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 at
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 the
the
school
the
for
school
many
for
years.
many years.
Very good. So let's look at our first sentence. And you ask, is there a particular restaurant you would like to go to? So that means you're asking if there is one specific restaurant. So we're not talking about any other restaurant. We're talking about one specific restaurant, a particular restaurant. Or in our second sentence, that particular teacher has worked at the school for many years. So we're only talking about that teacher, not any of the other teachers at the school. So again, particular, we're describing one thing or one person, and we're not describing any of the other things or persons that might relate to it. So this is, again, one of those that I think the more you read, the more you practice, you can really understand how we use this word in English, the word particular. And so this is one we're going to see in our story today. So if we move on to our next word, saying.
Saying.
So a saying is a famous or well-known phrase that people use to give advice about life. So it's something that we have no matter what language we speak. There are sayings in every language, different sentences or phrases we use to give advice. So let's look at our examples. The early bird catches the worm is a popular saying. And you can repeat just up to this point.
the early bird catches
The
the
early
worm.
bird catches
Popular
the
saying.
worm.
It's a
Popular.
popular saying.
It means that being first or early can help you to be successful.
It
It
means
means
It
that
means
being
that
can
first
help
being
or
first
early
or
can
early
help
can
be
help
you
you to be
successful.
successful.
Very good. And our second one, my grandfather knows tons of wise old sayings.
My
my
grandfather
grandfather
knows
knows
Of wise
of
old
wise
saying.
old saying.
Very good. So again, a saying, it's something that we use to give advice or say something about life. So maybe your grandparents know a lot of old sayings that they like to share with you. So we have here an example of a popular saying, the early bird catches the worm. And so we see a picture of this. So if someone were to tell you the early bird catches the worm, they're not really talking about an actual bird, but this saying just means that if you are first at something or if you get somewhere early, then things will go well for you. Just like a bird who gets up early to catch the worms. So there's a lot of different sayings. And again, not just in English, but in any language. And I see, Sarah, you were able to put your idea in the chat about what you would do if you were a teacher, giving your students advice, helping them in studying the language, music, novels, movies, all very good suggestions. So sort of similar to Stella about or learning about the culture. So the movies and the music. So very good, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so now let's move on from saying, and here's another one that is very similar to saying. So repeat after me, adage.
Adage.
So adage is just another word for saying. They mean the same thing. The slight difference between an adage and a saying, though, is usually if we're talking about an adage, it's a very old saying. So someone came up with it a very long time ago. So let's read our example. My teacher has many adages displayed on the classroom walls.
My teacher
My
has
teacher has many adages displayed on the classroom.
Very good. So this was true for me when I was in school. It might be true for you too. Your teacher might have posters of different adages or sayings on the wall for you and the other students to look at and to read. So we're going to look at a few well-known adages, and we're going to find out exactly what they mean. So as I read each one, just go ahead and repeat after me. So our first one is stop and smell the roses.
Stop and smell the roses.
Very good. And so if we don't know rose or roses, we see pictures of them here. It's a kind of flower. And so what does this adage mean? Well, it means to not get too busy in life where you can't enjoy the beautiful, simple things in life. So if someone tells you to stop and smell the roses, they're telling you to relax, to take time to enjoy simple, beautiful things like roses or flowers or anything else. So our next adage, don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Don't count your chicken before they hatch.
Before they hatch.
Very good. So this adage means it's not a good idea to make plans or decisions based on something that hasn't happened yet. So really to think before you make plans, and if you don't know what will happen in the future, you should wait. You don't want to count your chickens. So that's another adage. And here's another one. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
By its cover.
So this is a very well-known adage, and it just means we don't want to judge people based on what they look like on the outside. So just like when you go pick a book to read, you don't want to just look at the cover of the book. We want to know what's on the inside. So it's the same with people. What matters is what's on the inside and not what we look like on the outside. So our last adage we're going to go over is this one. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You can teach
An old dog
No cheat.
Very good. So this adage means if someone is very used to doing something a certain way, it can be very hard to teach them to do it a new way. So again, it's hard to teach someone if they've been doing it a different way their whole lives. So these are just a few adages that we have here. And I encourage you guys, when we're done with class, you can do research on the internet and look up other adages and what they mean. Okay, so are there any questions about any of these adages or about what we've learned so far? Any questions? Okay, so if you ever do have any questions and maybe you're feeling too shy, there's always the chat box as well. So let's move on to our next one. So we have two words here. First, we have step.
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 And then we have stairs.
Stairs.
Very good. So this one is pretty simple. So here we have a picture of stairs. So all together, these are stairs. We know we use stairs to get to different levels in a building or maybe in our house or at school. So these are stairs, but this is a step. So on its own, each of the little surfaces you would walk up on are steps. So all together, these are stairs, but on their own, these are steps. So this is a step down here. So let's read our examples. I like to use the stairs because it's good exercise.
I like to
I like to
use
use
the
the
stairs
step
because
because
it's
it's
good
good
exercise.
exercise.
Somebody left their backpack on the first step of the stairs.
Somebody left
Somebody
their
left
backpack
their backpack on
Step
the first step
on the
of
first
stairs.
step
the
of
stairs.
stairs.
Very good. So now I have a question for you guys. So Stella, are there stairs at your school? Are there stairs at your school, Stella?
Yes.
Can you answer in a complete sentence altogether, Stella?
Yes. There are stairs in my school.
Very good. Now, Stella, the stairs at your school, do they have many steps or only a few steps?
Yes, they have many steps.
Okay, many steps. And what about you, Ryan? Are there stairs at your school?
Yes, my school has stairs.
Your school has stairs as well. And what about you, Esther? Are there stairs at your school?
Yes, there have many stairs.
Very good. So it seems like a lot of you guys have stairs at your school. It wasn't until I was in high school that there were stairs at my school. And we also might have stairs in our house as well. Or if we live in an apartment, there might be stairs there too. Okay, so our next slide, to choose.
To choose.
To choose.
To choose.
Very good. So to choose is to decide or pick what you want from two or more things. So you're picking what you want. So let's look at our examples. We have to choose what to eat for dinner, pasta or salad.
We have to
We
choose
have
We have
to
to
choose
choose
what to
Choose
eat
what
for
to
to
dinner.
eat
eat for dinner.
Pasta or
Pizza
salad.
or salad.
Which movie did you choose to watch?
Which movie do you
Which
choose to
movie
watch?
you choose to watch?
Very good. So again, you're picking what you want. So in our first example, when you have to choose what to eat for dinner. So you pick what you want to eat for dinner. Or when you're going to watch a movie, you choose the movie. You say, I want to watch this movie. So again, to choose, to decide or pick what you want from two or more things. Just like in this picture, she has to choose, should she eat this food or this food? Our next word, chance.
Chance.
Very good. So chance is the possibility that something will happen. So let's look at our examples. She didn't study at all. So there is a small chance that she will pass the exam.
She didn't study at all, so there is a small chance that she will pass the exam.
I am running late today, so there is a chance that I will miss the party.
I'm running late today, so there is a chance that I will
there
miss
is
the
a
party.
chance that I will miss the party.
Awesome. Great reading, you guys. So again, chance, the possibility that something will happen. So in our first example, if you don't study for an exam or a test, there's a small chance that you will pass. So that means there's a very little possibility that you will pass the exam because you didn't study for it. Or in our second example, I am running late. So if you know you're running late, but you have somewhere to go, there's a chance that you will miss the event or the party. So a possibility that you won't be able to go. So again, chance, the possibility that something will happen. And our next word, repeatedly.
Repeatedly.
And let's do it one more time. Repeatedly.
Repeatedly.
Very good. So if something is done repeatedly, that means it happens or is done more than once. More than once. So let's look at our examples. The teacher has repeatedly told Jess not to eat in class.
The teacher has
Repeatedly told Jess not to eat in class.
We watch our favorite movie repeatedly.
We watch
We watch our favorite movie repeatedly.
Very good. So in our first example, the teacher repeatedly told Jess. That means she had to tell Jess more than once, again and again. She repeatedly told Jess not to eat in class. Or in our second example, your favorite movie. If it's your favorite, you probably watch it a lot. So you can say, we watch our favorite movie repeatedly. You watch it more than once, again and again. So our next word is eventually.
Eventually.
We use this word eventually to show that something took a long time to happen, but in the end, it did happen. So let's look at our examples. The baby stopped crying eventually.
The baby
The baby
stopped
stopped
crying
crying
eventually.
Eventually, the rain stopped and the sun came out.
Eventually,
Eventually, the
Eventually,
rain stopped
the
and the
rain stopped
sun
and
came
the
out.
sun came out.
Very good. So maybe some of you have little brothers or sisters that might be babies, and they can cry for a really long time. But in this example, the baby stopped crying eventually. So that means in the end, it happened over a long time, but eventually the baby stopped. Or in our second example, we know sometimes it can rain for a long time. But in this example, eventually, so in the end, the rain stopped. So we see again how to use this word. It means in the end, especially after a long time has passed. Our next word, curiosity.
Curiosity.
Curiosity is wanting to learn more about something or to know more about something. So let's read our examples. Out of curiosity, I asked my parents what it was like when they were my age.
Out
how
of
old were
curiosity, I
I
asked
asked my
I asked my parents
what
what
it
it
was
they
like
were
when they
when they
were my
were
age.
my age.
She read many books because of her curiosity to learn more.
she read many
She
books
read
because
Many
of
books
her
many
because
books
of
curiosity
her
because of
to
her
learn more.
curiosity to learn more.
Very good. So when you have a curiosity about something, you're going to ask questions or you're going to do research or read about it because you want to learn more about it. So we can see that in this picture, in our head, the question marks, we have a curiosity for something. We want to know more. Okay, we're almost done. We have only a couple more. So this next word is brightly.
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 We use this word to describe something that has a really strong, noticeable color. You see it. So a bright, strong color. So let's look at our examples. Street signs are often brightly colored so that they are easy to see.
Street
These
signs
signs are
Street
often
signs
are
brightly
are
often
colored
often
so that
brightly
colored
they are
colored
so
so
that
that they
they
are
are
easy to
easy
see.
to see.
easy to see.
Madison is always brightly dressed.
Madison
Madison is
Sun
is
is
always
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 brightly
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 dressed.
dressed.
Very good. So first, our street signs. So we talked about this earlier. Street signs are meant for people to see them. So usually street signs are brightly colored. So like the red here, the yellow, the blue, these are bright colors that people will see. Or in our second example, some people dress very brightly, right? So the colors are strong and you can notice them. So in this picture here, what colors is this woman wearing? Stella, what colors is this woman wearing?
Yellow and pink.
Very good, yellow and pink. And we see how bright they are. So we would say she is brightly dressed. These are strong colors that are easy to see. And this is our last one. So we're going to finish with a phrase. So repeat after me. Catch one's eye.
Catch one's
Catch
eye.
one eye.
So we use this phrase to show that something is easily noticed or seen. So let's look at our examples. As I walk down the hallway, the brightly colored sign catches my eye.
As I walk down the hallway, the
I
bright
walk down the hallway. The
sign
brightly colored sign catches my eye.
I tried to catch her eye by waving to her.
I
I
try
try
to
I
to
try
catch
to
her
catch
eye
her
by
eye by waving to her.
Very good. So for example, we know our brightly colored signs. So if you see brightly colored signs, they're going to catch your eye. So you notice it, you look at it. That catches your eye. Or maybe you're trying to get somebody's attention, so you wave to them. You are trying to catch their eye. You want them to look at you. So depending on who we're talking about, these are the different pronouns we would use. So catch my eye, catch your eye, his or her eye. So we see we would change this depending on who we're talking about. And we're going to see how this phrase is used as well when we finish reading today. So that's the end of all our words. I know that was a lot, but you guys did great answering the questions. And now you have the time to write your own sentences, as usual, using at least one of the words or phrases that we learned about today. So when you are done, just like last time, go ahead and type your answer in or your sentence in the chat box. And as usual, if you have any questions or would like more examples of some of these words and how they're used in a sentence, just go ahead and let me know. So we have one sentence, thank you. And another one, thank you very much. And we have a couple more, thank you. And I think that's all of you guys, so thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing now. So let's hear each other's sentences. So Stella, why don't we start with you? Can you please share your sentence with us?
It's difficult to me to choose what I want to eat for breakfast.
Very good, Stella. So Stella used to choose, and you did very good with that sentence. And I agree, it can be difficult to choose what to have for breakfast. So great sentence, thank you. And Esther, can you please share your sentence?
The teacher repeatedly took care for the stairs.
Very good, Esther. So you used repeatedly. So the one thing I would mention, are you trying to say the teacher repeatedly said to be careful of the stairs? That the teacher said this?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe next time add that word said. That way we know this is what the teacher was saying to the students. Does that make sense, Esther? Yeah? Okay, awesome. But besides that, great sentence. So thank you, and thank you for using that vocab word repeatedly. And stairs. I just saw that as well. So great job. Barry, can you please share your sentence?
The teacher used adage repeatedly because she tried to catch our eye.
Very good. Thank you, Barry. So you were able to use adage repeatedly and catch our eye. And thank you for changing that pronoun to our. So very good sentence. And Sarah, we can't, let's see if we can hear you. Sarah, can you try to read your sentence for us? I don't think we can hear you, Sarah, but is this your sentence? There are many stairs in our school. I think that's your sentence. So great job. You used stairs and you used it perfectly. So great work, Sarah. And Dylan, can you please share your sentence with us?
What do you want to choose? Food or drink?
Very good. So you used choose, and great work with that sentence. I see you understand what it means, picking between one or more thing, or between two or more things. So very good. And last, Ryan, can you please share your sentence with us?
What toy you want to choose?
Very good. And you used choose as well. And thank you also for putting it in a question form, making it a little bit more interesting. So great job with all these sentences. I know we had a lot of vocabulary words, but you guys used these words very well and in their correct meaning. So now let's go to our story. So I'm going to share my screen. And first, for our students who weren't here last week, we're going to read that first paragraph again. But before we do that, Dylan, can you please read the title of our story?
Bilingual sign.
Very good, perfect. So bilingual signs, that's our title. And Esther, can you please read this first paragraph for us? This first paragraph.
Taiwanese schools are trying to become more and more bilingual all the time. A good way to do this is to make all existing signs English and Chinese like exist. Background and another common sign. Another way is to put signs in high traffic areas to increase exposure to English.
Very good. Awesome reading, Esther. That was great. So now we're going to move on to this last part of our story. So as usual, I will read and then repeat after me. This particular school has done this by placing old adages on the stairs. It works quite well. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to read it all the way through and then you'll read after me, repeat after me. So just wait for a minute and I'll read it all the way through. This particular school has done this by placing old adages on the stairs. It works quite well as students cannot go up the stairs without having to look at the sayings. They may choose not to read them for a while, but chances are, after going up and down the steps repeatedly, they will eventually read them all out of curiosity. The signs have English on the left and Chinese on the right. They are also brightly colored to catch your eye. So now we'll get to where I read and you'll repeat after me. This particular school has done this by placing old adages on the stairs.
This
This
particular
particular
school
school
has
has
done
done
this
this
by
by
placing
old
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 age
age
on the
on the
stairs.
stairs.
It works quite well as students cannot go up the stairs without having to look at the sayings.
It
It
works
works
quite well
quite
quite
well
well
A
as
as
students
students
student
cannot
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 go
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 up
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 the
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 stairs
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 without
without
or
having
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 to
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 look
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 at
at
the
at
the
the
sayings.
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 They may choose not to read them for a while, but chances are, after going up and down the steps repeatedly, they will eventually read them all out of curiosity.
They
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 may
may
might
choose
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 not to
not
read
not
them
to
to
for a
read
read
while,
them
them
for
for
a
but
a
Oh,
while,
while,
chances
but
but
are
chances
chances
after
are
are
after
I
going up
after
and
going
going
up
down
up
the
and
they
stairs
down
down
will
the
the
steps,
eventually
repeatedly,
eventually
they
stairs.
they
will
will
all
eventually
eventually
out
read
of
them
read
all
them
here.
out of
all.
curiosity.
The signs have English on the left and Chinese on the right.
The signs have
The
The
English
signs
signs
on the
have
have
left and
English
The
on
English
Chinese
the
on
sign
the
on
has
left
the
right.
English
left
on
and
and
the left
Chinese
and
Chinese
the
on
on
the
the
Chinese
right.
right.
on the right.
They are also brightly colored to catch your eye.
They are
They
also
are
They are
brightly
also
also
colored
Also,
brightly
but
brightly
colored
colored
color
to catch
to
to
your
catch
catch
eye.
your
your eye.
Very good. Great job reading, you guys. So now let's talk about what we just read. So we see in this picture as well. So in this particular school that the story mentions, where did they place the adages? Where did they place the adages? Ryan, how would you answer?
on the stairs.
Very good. Can you answer in a complete sentence, Ryan?
The particular school has done this by placing old edges on the stairs.
Very good. So, and we see that here in the picture, the English on the left and the Chinese on the right. Now, why would they place the adages on the stairs? Why would they place them on the stairs? Barry, what do you think?
because you can easily to see them.
Right, it's easy to see. And every day, many students have to walk up and down the stairs. So they're going to see these adages. Now, another question. Why are they brightly colored? So why are these signs brightly colored? Dylan, what do you think? And we could see it in the picture too. These signs, why are they brightly colored?
Many color. Is colorful.
Yeah, so very good. They are colorful. We see all the different colors here. But why are they colorful? Why aren't they just in black and white? What do you think, Stella? Why are these signs brightly colored?
Because they want children easy to see it.
Very good. So if something is brightly colored, remember that phrase, it catches your eye. It's easy to see and very noticeable. And as Dylan said, these signs are very colorful. We see yellow, green, blue, pink, orange. So these signs will catch the eyes of the students, even if they don't want to read it. Eventually they'll have to because they're so bright and they notice them. So are there any questions about what we read or anything you want to understand better? Any questions? Okay, so we're going to go to the worksheet. We have a few minutes to do some of the worksheet. So we'll start off with our pictures and our matching. So with picture number 1, what word matches picture number 1? Esther.
Stairs.
Very good. Stairs. And number 2, Barry, what matches number 2?
To choose.
Awesome, to choose. And Stella, what matches number 3?
Brightly.
Very good, brightly. And Dylan, what matches number 4?
Yes, T.
Curiosity, very good. And number 5, Ryan, what matches number 5?
Catch one's eye.
Catch one's eye. And our last one, number 6, Barry, what matches number 6?
Adage.
Adage, very good. And we see again this adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So very good. We're going to move on to true or false. So we want to see, is the sentence true or is it false? Is it correct or incorrect? And if it's incorrect, we want to correct it. So we're not going to do this today. This will be your homework. So you have 5 sentences. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong. So the ones that are wrong, you want to correct them and make them right. So you'll do that for your homework. And also, you have an open response. So if we read this paragraph, Stella, can you read this paragraph right here for us?
Your friend Lily likes learning about math, science, and history, but she hates her English class because it is difficult for her. She doesn't understand why she needs to learn a new language, even though it can be hard sometimes. How would you explain to Lily why it is a good thing to learn a new language? Please answer it in complete sentence.
Very good, Stella. So, as Stella explained for us, you're going to pretend you have this friend named Lily, and she doesn't like her English class. It's so hard for her, and she doesn't understand why she needs to learn English. She doesn't like it. So, your job is to explain to Lily why it's a good thing to learn a new language. So we already talked about this a little bit in class, why being bilingual or why learning a new language can benefit you. So some of you mentioned for travel or learning new songs in another language. So now you get to put all that together and explain that to your friend Lily, why it's a good thing to learn a new language. So you want to help her out. So this is your homework down here. And practice 2 up here. So the true or false, and then how you're going to help your friend Lily. So I'll let Luke explain to make sure you guys understand, and then you can ask any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question for all ESL teachers to think about and explain to their students. 同学，这个就是说，如果你的朋友他不喜欢学英文，你跟他解释一下这学英文为什么是有好处的。然后 Sarah，麻烦你测试一下设备后跟我回报一下就是你找另外一个人测试，看你的机器是否有问题。然后 Stella，你的 microphone 你打开就会就是一些 noise 跑出来麻烦你再找人测试解决一下。Okay, could you stop sharing?
There we go.
Our students to say thank you to you. So students, could you mute your microphone? Say thank you, teacher Xiahna.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you,
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah. We
You're
will see
welcome. Thank you.
you next time.
Yes, see you guys next week. Thank you. Great job today.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.